Today on Tools of the Trade, we want to talk a little bit about a tool that is in large quantity everywhere in the shop here at Man-at-Arms Baltimore Knife. And that is the series of different things that we call calipers, dividers, compass. They're all relatively the same thing for us. For the most part, there are 2 points that you're either checking a size, making a size, measuring a size, transferring a measurement either from say a ruler to an object that you're working. You know, we don't want to put a ruler near the lathe because we really can't get right up onto a part, but we could set a divider to a certain size and measure something on the lathe, or measure an inside hole on the mill, or someplace that we couldn't actually put, you know, another type of measuring device. So, you know, the most standard thing that you've probably used in school at some point in time is some form of compass or scribe, where you have 2 points. 1 point stays stable, 1 point rotates around, and that's how we make a circle. And there's obviously a series of geometric things that we can make from those circles. Another way that we use all of these tools that have points as more like a scribe would be to have this point, even if they're the same length, some are longer, but to have this point go along an edge, where we would measure along an edge, and that would scribe with this line either onto a metal surface, which is more common for us, or leather, which is easy to see, or a metal surface that we've painted with ink, where we could actually scratch a line and we can see where that line is. That allows us to measure like an offset from the outside side over to that. So this is just kind of the most common thing that you see. Or an extremely early pair that you would see. Now this is actually one of those things where I can't tell you the age, but I bought a handful of pieces like this in a sword collection, and most of those swords were from the 1500s and 1600s. So, you know, very old. I would have guessed more this kind of style and design. I think you see a little bit more as you roll into the 17th century. Just a little bit more common, maybe even a little bit later. But what we do have as you get into the 18th and 19th century is you have pieces that, rather having a hinge in the back, like you see here, they're spring-loaded. And that just allows you to be able to adjust them with one hand, because as you make the adjustment with the screw, it'll open and close based on the spring. But I absolutely love the style of these that are made in one piece. This is all one piece of metal. So not only do these have really nice form through here, but they're a hardenable piece of steel that the spring itself is actually forged from the center, and then you can adjust it with the wing nut on the outside. And I have a pretty huge collection of these, from itty bitty little guys to what are the biggest ones that I've actually found that we use in the shop, which are like this. I do tend to leave the price tags on because I like to think about what I have. You know, they often have stickers, so I tend to leave the price tags on them. So I think these are $25, and most of these are $5, $7, $10. They're not very expensive. And anytime you can buy something that you really like for those prices, I think that's particularly neat. The other thing is that I'm always looking for ones that I feel are of a little bit higher quality. One of the things we look for on these is a center ridge inside this spring. That center ridge gives a little bit more strength to the spring. I have some that are just absolutely paper thin pieces like this, and they feel like they just break if you used them. I do use them anyway, and I haven't broken any, but I do have some where that shape has started to collapse. It's no longer really round, and I'm assuming that that's from somebody really tweaking on it. But this is very, very thin at the top, you know, like thin sheet metal that's hardened. So this is a very nicely formed piece. You know, it's really delightful form in here, even though the spring is a little beat up once again. This looks like it's probably been that way since it was made, rather than being, you know, an absolutely perfect piece. But still completely functional. You see us use these mostly on the shows on Man-at-Arms or anywhere on our YouTube when we're working at a lathe. That's the most common place for us, because we'll have 3 or 4 different points in the handle of a sword or in a guard that we have to replicate. I'll go ahead and take maybe 3 or 4 of these, set up different widths in the middle here, and then I'll check as I work, because I can take these and just sit them right on the work, and if it passes through the work down, you know, on the lathe, then I know that I've reached the size that I want and I can stop and move somewhere else. Pretty neat stuff to collect here in the northeast part of America. We see a fair amount of these in the antique stores, and they tend to sit. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people really buying them. The majority of things that people are looking for, if they're machinists or if they're woodworkers, is they're looking for quality tools that are more modern. They're looking for things that are made by Starrett. So they're looking for something that's the spring itself, you can see here, nicely formed piece. The spring is cut in, but it's a completely separate piece of metal. So this spring, which we know is high quality steel, is not the same piece as these arms. So if we're working from a manufacturer like Starrett, we have a pretty good feel for the fact, or even Craftsman, we have a pretty good feel for the fact that the whole thing is of decent quality. But you don't know that it's good hardened steel because it's not the same piece that would actually allow you spring work like this. One of the nice things that was added to these newer ones is that the piece, this will slide in and out, and instead of only being able to screw it, you can quickly move it to change sizes like that, and it'll move up, but you can still fine adjust it by turning the screw. That's a pretty neat thing. We do find these mostly when we're buying like an old machinist tool chest. You don't normally find this stuff separately anywhere. It's going to come from a machine shop rather than just, you know, a random workshop that would have early stuff. But we're always looking for pieces like this, and they do, when you get down into little tiny ones, and these are, you know, for outside work. You're measuring the outside of something. You also find ones that are for measuring on the inside, where the feet go out. You're not really measuring with this unless you've set this from some other measuring device to make sure that it's the same thing, and then you're checking repeatability. If you were measuring, then we would move over to a completely different tool, dial caliper. Now, these are digital, they don't have a dial on them, but we do have both types in the shop. One of the things about the digital ones is that I'm an old guy. I measure in inches and decimals. Some of the guys in the shop, they're metric guys. So they, with one push of a button, can convert back and forth. They can hit that button when they pick it up, and I've had it last, and I've got it set for inches, and they hit that button, it goes right to millimeters. And so we have these all over the shop. Incredibly useful. They're not very expensive anymore. They used to be fairly expensive. But if you ever go like on Amazon or Alibaba or something like that to buy some, don't buy the cheapest stuff. Every once in a while I get sucked in because I want to buy 10 of something like this, and I'll buy the cheapest thing out there. And they're kind of junk, and they just really don't work. So do invest a little bit of money if you're buying things like this new. They're incredibly useful, and you'll just keep them probably for the rest of your life. You know, if it's not something that you catch in a tool or smash or something like that, this is the kind of tool that'll end up being around even for your kids, just like the rest of these, which are, you know, some of these are hundreds of years old at this point. One thing I really wanted to show you is a very special way for measuring. And one of the things that I have in my collection that I kind of splurged on and bought a very nice thing for myself is this large caliper. This is for when we're raising or forming pieces of steel so that we can reach past the edge of the steel and measure the inside. It's very specifically made for working on suits of armor. Let me pull this out for you. So this is the Acme Armor Caliper. This is made by my friend Patrick Thaden in Texas. It is an incredibly useful thing. If you're raising, like you would see somebody creating a helmet, that's really what he made it. That was the intention of what he made it for, was to be able to reach inside the dome of a helmet. When you're raising, you're doing all of your form by hammering, and there's no real way to reach inside and tell how thick that metal is in the middle. And if you're stretching that material, you want to make sure that you don't make it so thin that it no longer provides protection of a piece of armor. That was the whole point of why you were making it. So he's made this so that it'll reach inside. You can measure your work on the inside. For me, that was really more about the creation of a vessel. If I was making a flower pot or a large cup or a chalice or something like that, and I wanted to be able to measure the material on the inside, that's why I got it. I really don't make too much armor anymore, although I did quite a bit in the past. It's just a really nice tool, and definitely worthwhile to check and see whenever he's making a batch. I will put a link here where you guys can go touch base with him and see his YouTube channel and it's something that you could order directly from him. So it's a very useful device, and there's not a lot of new things that are quite like this out there that are really specifically aimed for a shop like ours versus, you know, maybe something that was for aerospace or something like that, where this would cost thousands of dollars, and this is not like that. But it is still an extremely useful device, and it was really great for the armoring community to have one of their own be able to manufacture something like this for them. So check in the link below on that, and make sure if you are into tools and you really love what we're doing that you come back and check the channels and see what we're going to put up next. It's definitely something where there's an unlimited number of tools here in the shop and things that we all collect, and we love to be able to show them to you, and are really happy that you guys have engaged with us. And, you know, just make sure you tell us what it is that you'd like to see and what type of tool that, you know, you're either considering buying that maybe we can show you, or you have no idea where you can find one, like these Rose engines, and we'll help you find something like that, because we love buying tools probably more than anything else. Click the logo to subscribe, or click one of the videos to see more here on the Baltimore Knife and Sword channel, or go to Almy and watch Man at Arms.